So second sin is Chilul Hashem. Third sin, wasting seed on purpose. A man that wastes seed on purpose is in big, big trouble. So now, I have an Avrich, somebody that learns Torah for a living. Someone that learns Torah all day. That's his job. He doesn't have a company, a business, a job that's, he delivers flyers or something, or pizza, nothing. He learns Torah for a living. He calls me and he says, Kol Harav, I'm an Avrich, I learn a Kollel, I do this, I do that. But I never learned about wasting seed. I watched your shiur 3.5 hours lecture, and then there was another hour somewhere else. It's 2 lectures, but one of them was 3.5 hours, bunch of chidushim, bunch of things I never learned before. I realized I have a serious problem. I'm addicted. According to the Zohar, the biggest addiction there is in this world, worse than crack, worse than cocaine, worse than money, worse than everything else, is to waste seed. Biggest addiction. The Rambam says it's the most difficult thing to overcome. But the Rambam also says in Halachot Isurei Be'ah, Perik Chaf Bet 22, Halakha 21. He's giving us Halakha, which seems like it's just another law. We're going to learn another law. How many laws we're going to learn already? We don't even know half the laws that we already learned. You're going to teach another law? No. He's giving us a roadmap. How not to get to this addiction. And if we're not in this situation, then we can teach it to somebody else, because every teenager has a problem. Every kid has a problem. All these tzaddikim, little kids with the payas, they're coming home, they're 16, they're happy about, they went to yeshiva, they're happy about their friends and everything. 5 minutes later, they're wasting seed. That's what they do. This is an addiction. This is an epidemic. And the reason they all do it is because no one's telling them you're not allowed to. No one is telling them it's the biggest sin in Judaism. They heard it is, but they don't know the details. So the Rambam says this: one must stay away from joking and drunkenness and foolishness, as these are the triggers and the causes for adulterous and promiscuous behavior. Pretty much stop screwing around with your friends. Stop joking around. Stop doing nothing. Why? As the halakha continues, a couple of lines later, there is never a thought of immodest sexuality that can overcome a mind or a heart unless it's empty and without wisdom. Meaning, the Rambam says, the benefits of being a ben Torah, the benefits of being glued to Hashem, glued to the Torah, glued to the mitzvot. The reason why Hashem even gave you 613 mitzvot is to keep you on a system, to keep you occupied, to keep you focused, to keep your mind busy. If your mind is busy with mitzvot, if your mind is busy with Torah you learned, if your mind is busy with the sugya you learned in the Gemara this morning after tefillah, why did Abaye say this? Why did Rava say this? Why did Hillel says this? Why is Yaakov Avinu sleeping bichlal? And why are the angels so angry? Your mind is occupied, it's constantly moving. Something going on all the time. If you're that glued to the Torah, you're never going to think an immodest thought. Why? Because you don't have time. If you're constantly occupied with the number reason of why you exist bichlal, which is to do Kiddush Hashem, you're never going to have time to sin. We learned last week, Gemara Masechet Chagigah, page 14. A person that's not making themselves busy with sanctifying Hashem's name, with Kiddush Hashem, according to the Torah, according to Hashem, it's better that He never brought him to the world. Ad kedei kach, to that degree. If you're busy with learning Hashem's Torah, You're busy. If you're busy with doing mitzvot, you're busy. If you're busy sanctifying Hashem's name, you're busy. You're not going to have time to think about this naked girl in front of you because you're not even looking at her. Everything looks like a daf Gemara. Everything looks like Yaakov Avinu. When did I finally realize this can be? One time I'm in Israel with my Rav. We're talking. And this issue comes up with the whole immodesty and so on. And he's in a different world. He's a different world. You look at him, you see him, very normal person. You talk to him though, he's a different world. This person is genius beyond imagination. Before he was 20, already finished the Shas 4 times, twice the Bavli, twice the Yerushalmi, wrote over 30 books, or almost 35 books before he's 30. Something, the Dayanim call him Gaon. Rav Ovadiah's son came to one of his Siyumei HaShas, says you should call him a Gaon from now on. Rav Ovadiah's son. David Yosef came to his Siyumei HaShas, says he's a Gaon. Somebody special. But he's glued to the Torah though. And one day I'm talking and we'll finish with this point. He says, I don't understand what everybody's looking at all the time. They always look at these women. I said, what do you mean you don't understand? I don't understand what they're looking at. Why does everybody get so excited? Now to me, at that point, I'm like, is he that far away from the world? What do you mean, what are they getting so excited for? I don't understand. I mean, everything else until this point, I understood what he said. But he says he doesn't understand why people get excited by looking at women. He took this Rambam to the next level. Rambam says if you occupy with Torah, you're never going to think about immodesty. The Zohar says when there's immodesty, Hashem Yerachem, all the things it says about immodesty. So Rav Ephraim says, I said to him, what do you mean? What do you mean? I kept pushing. No, what do you mean? You don't understand why they're so excited. And in a moment of like, he blurted out something, and until this day I can't stop thinking about it. He goes, what, they don't see the fire? To him, in his eyes that are holy, he sees the fire of Gehenom on the naked woman. He doesn't see beauty. He sees miskena, he sees a poor woman, he sees someone that's suffering. He sees the outcome, miskena. In this generation, this is not Yaakov Avinu. We could all get there. That's the end of this Mishnah, where it says, V'im lo achshav ematai. And if not now, when? If we don't do tshuva today, if we don't start learning Torah today, if each one of us at the end of this shiur then say, you know what? I got to fix something. I got to add something. Modesty, I got to do a little better. Learning Torah, I got to do a little better. Teaching Torah, I got to do a little better. Something, do better. If none of us are going to do something better at the end of this drasha, I'm sorry, I failed you. I wasted your time. But if each one of us is going to go home and do a little bit of cheshbon nefesh, some self-accounting, and say, I got to fix something. What? Pick. We talked about plenty of things. If you don't remember everything I say, we're going to watch it on Bezat Hashem Torah anytime, tomorrow. Or YouTube, or BezatHashem.org. Plenty of places to watch the shiur again. But something has to happen. Because if not now, when? Any questions?